This old segment right here is all about the tutties, baby. We are still up now, even though we lost money on the touchdown props last week, despite nailing the Vele plus 450 prop because I didn't officially make it a prop. I forgot. But we are still way up here since last Friday when we started this whole thing. We said, look, let's just say it's $100 per wager. If it's even money and you win 100, and so on and so forth. So we lost 3 last night, but we're still up 1250 here, and all the records there. It's not too shabby there with the specials, by the way. Hitting those at a 47% clip is pretty darn good, considering these are exotic, like last night's Devon Vele, for God's sakes, and we're at 47%. But neither here nor there. Enough back patting. It's time to get into this week's pickage, if you will. And, well, these are all arranged kind of in the order of preference. So we'll start with Georgie Kittle. I'm feeling this one here at plus 175. I think, well, it's a good matchup here. Miami, they're zone-based. We have Jalen Ramsey, who we believe is going to shadow Juwan Jennings. So he might be getting taken out, Juwan Jennings, this week by Ramsey, who's good still, giving up a measly 0.18 fantasy points per route run. And Miami's a pretty good defense overall, but it's a good situation here for George Kittle. Pretty good schematics as well for George. Actually, it's really good. The Dolphins deploy cover 2 and cover 3 at a combined 53% of the time, and George, against those coverages, averages a massive 3.34 yards per route run, and they allow the 8th most receptions per game to tight ends. Kind of a zone-heavy defense, often gets hit by those tight ends. Next up, Adam Thielen. I mean, we were all over this dude about a month ago. And by the way, he's kind of a league winner right now. I think he's wide receiver 15 in scoring over his last 4 or 5 games, or since he's essentially returned. And it's a little bit of a mixed bag here with Thielen, but there was more than enough positive data points. As we discussed, by the way, I believe that was with our guy, Stephen O'Rourke, more than enough positive data points here for Thielen. And by the way, we have Xavier Legette is likely out, and I think that's a big one here. The Cardinals are obviously favored in this game. No one's ever going to put the Panthers as a favorite anymore. And Adam Thielen crushes 2 high looks, which they run at a top 8 clip. He has averaged 38% more yards per route run against 2 high looks. Jalen Coker, meanwhile, sees a reduction against 2 high. And Thielen, by the way, is rolling with a first read target share, an impressive one over the last 3 weeks. First read target share. So it's better than target share. This is like, you're the first read, and we have the eyeballs to know how to differentiate who is the first read. But in his last 3 games, 25%, 40%, and then 39% first read target share last week. That is beautiful. So I like Thielen here. I didn't go with his prop. I probably should have, but I'm going to go with the tutty here at plus 190. Nico Collins, I know he scored 2 touchdowns last week, but you just can't stop Nico Collins. And the KC Chiefs have not been that great on the back end, quite frankly. They run the second highest rate of 2 high coverages, and Nico is more than fine against that shell. 2.84 yards per route run. It happens to be a bad look for Tank Dell, and I think Nico is going to do something similar to what Jerry Jeudy did last week, which was be all over the place, have 14 targets, and catch 11 balls. Sammy Laporta, anytime touchdown here, I like it quite a bit at plus 185. Now, look, I mean, he scored 2 touchdowns against this very defense what was that, on Thanksgiving. And I was lamenting that because I liked his prop. I liked the schematics of it. And I think he got like 6 yards, but he scored twice. The Bears, Sam Laporta, let's go here, is tied with Jameson Williams with a team leading 0.8 deep targets a game, and the Bears are a deep funnel. They also run single high at a top 6 clip, and Laporta averages 104% more yard per route run against single high, while Amon-Ra and Jameson see a reduction. So the Bears have been very giving to tight ends, and to my point, Laporta scored 2 tutties a month ago. And I think without David Montgomery, they're going to come out and sling a little bit here. And by the way, we have the highest total on the board this week in this game, which is a little surprising. So that tells me Jared Goff is going to be out there slinging it. And we're not really worried about Goff outdoors anymore. He's kind of quelled all that talk. Love these next two, by the way. TJ Hawkinson, a.k.a. TJ Lockinson, at plus 250. That is outstanding. That really, truly is. Now, look, there's only one ball, and Hawkinson is not getting a lot of love in the end zone, but he's due. And it is a very good situation here for Hawkinson. Seattle has been not good against tight ends for the most part all year. I feel very, very good about Hawkinson, who leads the Vikings in shallow targets per game. And the Seahawks, by the way, are an underneath funnel, allowing the second most receiving yards per game on throws within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage. He's running a full-time route share. So that's good. He's looking real strong here. Big time TJ Hawkinson game here against Seattle, who's been kind of suspect against those tight ends. This one here is really good. This is my long shot of the week. Chiggy Okonkwo at plus 380. I am definitely going to get Chiggy with it this week with this one, because apparently Mason Rudolph loves himself some Chig Okonkwo, and all the data is really, really good here. He's coming off a season high in targets and receptions and the loss of the Bengals last week, and this is just as good of a matchup. I actually went back and I looked. They've given up 9 touchdowns to tight ends this year, and I'm talking about scrubs like Josh Oliver and Austin Hooper and Brenton Strange. They run cover 3 at the league's 3rd highest rate. Okonkwo gets 30% more fantasy points per route run against cover 3, and he's been Mason Rudolph's 2nd most targeted receiver this season. CD Lamb plus 145. Hey, he's the only game in town, and it's certainly a good spot with Antoine Winfield out. I think it'll be a higher scoring game like CD Lamb. DK Metcalf has been pretty bad. But I do like the schematics of this matchup. Metcalf does lead the NFL in deep targets. And the Vikings have given up the 2nd most schedule-adjusted fantasy points per game to outside wide receivers. So I'm feeling good here about DK Metcalf. They'll be playing from behind. Tajay Spears, love me some Tajay Spears as well. Tony Pollard, I didn't see what he did today, but he's been out of practice with the foot/ankle. Tajay, I know he did score twice last week, but I remember interviewing Tajay Spears about his goal line prowess and things like that. The guy just has unbelievable instincts to find the hole, basically. So I think he's a pretty good short yardage guy. Love me some Tajay Spears, who looked, by the way, fantastic last week. And then last but not least, with their situation at running back, I think Brock Purdy and the Niners just come on out and sling it. And we're going to get 2 tutties here. One, of course, to George Kittle. Feel really good about these picks. We're never going to go 9-1 ever again, most likely. But I think we're going to have success with these picks. And it is time. It is money time, basically. It's crunch time, nut cutting time, however we want to phrase it. It's time to get back on track, basically, with these damn props. You know, we're crushing the touchdown props lately, but these other ones, which was my jam, we're on the struggle bus a little bit, but they're always good picks. It's just that the NFL doesn't cooperate some weeks. But we are, in fact, due. So let's get into it, especially the best bet, which was doing very well, winning 4 in a row, but we lost that one last week. I'll start with the aforementioned Marv Harrison Jr. Now, look, when I say I'm in on Marvin getting 51 damn yards. I don't care what he does otherwise because I don't have Marvin Harrison. But good luck to you out there if you do. But the Panthers are a perimeter funnel. They allow the 8th most schedule-adjusted fantasy points per game to opposing outside wide receivers, but the 5th fewest to the slot, which certainly is good news for Marvin Harrison, who averages a pretty solid, very solid, if not strong, 1.94 yard per route run against cover 3, which they run at a top 4 clip. They also, and this is pretty important, I think, the Cardinals are up against a Panther defense that generates the NFL's lowest time to throw adjusted pressure rate over expectation. And that's important because Marvin sees a 132% boost to his fantasy points per route run on plays that Kyler Murray has been kept clean. So I'm seeing a big play, basically. Just give me one, man. Just give me one. 30 yards, 35, that'd be nice. And then catch a couple of other balls. We'll get to 51 yards. We'll get the hell out of here with a win. Moving on to the next one, and I've lost this guy a number of times, but I'm going back here. We talked about it earlier in the week with our guy Ryan Heath, and not that he didn't tell me anything I didn't already know, but for him to back it up too, I'm like, okay, that's a couple of brains. The Lions run single high a lot, 59% or higher in 9 of their 14 games. It's a top 10 clip. And that's a good shell for Moore. And since Thomas Brown took over the offense, Moore leads the Bears with 2.32 yards per route run against single high, which is an 82% boost to his efficiency compared to when facing too high. They also the Lions lead the NFL in their rate of man coverage, and DJ Moore's always been a man beater. Here he comes. He is much more efficient than Roma Dunze and Keenan Allen. I can't help myself whenever I say man beater. That's a shout out for I guess everyone knows that song, right? Man Eater. It's one of the worst songs ever recorded. But that's neither here nor there. DJ Moore absolutely is the only guy who has a real chance against man coverage. And also they were Detroit much more of a slot funnel a month ago. That's why I recommended Keenan Allen in this matchup on Thanksgiving, and he did crush, but that's kind of changed up a little bit. And they are a top 5 pass funnel, are the Lions, because of that really good run defense. So Caleb Williams, of course, dropped back 48 times. I think we can get to 56 damn yards because I know DJ Moore, he's from Philly. I've interviewed DJ Moore. He's a very serious dude. He's not packing it in. Not happening with DJ Moore. And Caleb Williams is still playing hard. Next up, it is, in fact, Mr. Kyle Pitts. I'm just feeling it here with Penix. Penix to Pitts. Just give us one big play, and we're good. We'll go over 27 yards. We maybe even get this on one play. The Giants have allowed the 2nd fewest schedule-adjusted fantasy points per game to opposing tight ends, which is probably why this number is as low as it is, as well as the futility that is Kyle Pitts' season. However, they also run single high, as Scott Barrett mentioned, at a top 4 clip. And Kyle Pitts sees a 147% boost to his yards per route run against single high. The Giants are also a deep funnel, allowing the 3rd most receiving yards per game on throws traveling at least 20 yards down the field. So I am feeling pretty good about Michael Penix and his ability to unlock Pitts. Now, when I say unlock, I'm not saying he's going to hit 50 yards. I mean, God forbid. I mean, that's just too bold. But can we get 27? Yes. Yes, I believe we can. Next up, we love this dude. Even though I did not think he was going to be this good right away, I was told, I got bad information, by the way, by someone close to the team, that he would need a minute. Nope. Sometimes these coaches are even wrong. Brian Thomas Jr. has been unbelievable. And you love Mac Jones. You see the body language last week from Mac Jones? He's hopping around, skipping. Of course, he was among his people there in northern Florida feeling it, but I like where Mac Jones is right now. The Raiders are a top 5 pass funnel. They actually do give up the third fewest schedule-adjusted fantasy points per game to outside receivers, but the Raiders have generated the third lowest pressure rate, and Brian Thomas gets a 111% boost to his yards per route run when the quarterback is kept clean, and he'll see a lot of DeCamerion Richardson, who is a fellow rookie, a 4th rounder, who has given up a pretty healthy 0.31 fantasy points per route run. But we love BTJ. Dude has not let us down yet. You know who has let us down? James Conner. But we're back here. Way too many positives stack up. I could do a 30-minute podcast on the good positive with Connor, but no Trey Benson. DeMarcado's on IR, so it's DJ Dallas. Good schematic matchup. 70% of his runs on those man concepts. Panthers allowing the 5th highest yard per carry on those concepts. They're a top 5 run funnel. I mean, it's just positive after positive on Connor, so he should crush. I like Jaylen Warren here. It's not very sneaky. He did, I believe, hit this number. I have it somewhere in the first matchup. But Najee Harris had like 3 grabs for 30, which I don't think will happen. Look, no George Pickens. They need explosiveness. They've got to find a way to get it, and Jaylen Warren gives them some explosiveness. So at the very least, 21 yards here for receiving, not too much to ask. And then this is bad odds here. So I always promise not to go with bad odd picks, but once in a while I got to do it because this will win. Tyrone Tracy over 2.5 grabs. The Falcons have allowed the 2nd highest target share to opposing backfields, 4th most schedule adjusted fantasy points per game to opposing running backs via the forward pass. So I know Devin Singletary's in that mix, but I like me some Tyrone Tracy. And I got to go with James Cook here. If we lose this one, it's a trap. Because I do think that they'll handily beat New England and just run all over them, basically. So I'm going to go over 64.5. Time to pop out the best bet for the week. It is, in fact, Mr. George Kittle, who is absolutely crushing it. And it is a very good matchup here overall. I think Jalen Ramsey is going to potentially take out Juwan Jennings. Niners need to throw it to George all day long. Miami zone heavy. They give up a lot of production with the tight end position. So George get it done. Good luck with all the plays in Week 16. You're welcome. We'll catch you Monday on Prop Points.
Thanks for watching, but don't let the betting insights end here. If you want an extra edge this football season, you can get a month of VSiN Pro right now absolutely free. That means access to our betting insights, analysis, and tools like our betting splits at 0 cost to you. Click the link in the description to sign up.